In this tutorial video, we're going to see how to manage several exceptions in Java. But before we talk about that, I just want to bring your attention to a new keyword, which is known as finally. Now, the finally keyword is used to create a block of code that follows a try-catch block. A finally block of code always executes whether or not an exception has occurred. Using a finally block allows you to run any cleanup type statements that you want to execute, no matter what happens in the protected code. So a finally block appears at the end of the catch blocks and has the following syntax. So this is based on the example we used in the previous video. So we have our declaration of a variable named dog type animal, which is null, in order to instantiate the object animal in the try block, as we've done so just here. So as you'll notice, we have in this case two exceptions, custom exceptions. When managing several exceptions in a program, they're not obliged to be all custom exceptions. You can have, for example, one custom exception, then a runtime exception, and then a checked exception. It doesn't really matter. You can use all types of exceptions following each other. So in this case, we have two custom exceptions that we've created, as you can see here. And then at the end, we have our finally block, which is going to execute the instruction no matter what happens, no matter what exception is caught, if there is one that is caught at all. So this instruction at the end here will always be executed. And just to represent that, we've printed out this sentence: this code will always be executed. So that's the theory behind the finally keyword and how to use several exceptions in the same program. In the next step, we're going to apply this to a practical example in Eclipse. In this step, we're going to see how to manage several exceptions in Java. So this example is based on the example we saw in the previous video. So as you'll notice, we still have our animal class, our custom exception class, which is called the age animal exception, in the case where a user inputs a negative age. And just to prove that we can manage more than one exception at a time, we've created a second custom exception class, which we've named name animal exception, in the case where a user inputs a name that has less than 3 letters. That's what we want to demonstrate in this example in any case. So you'll notice that this class is also, this secondary class is also an extension of the default exception class in Java. So now let's go to our animal class here. So because we have two custom exceptions, you'll notice that we've added them both to our throws statement here. So we're letting the method know that these two exceptions might potentially be thrown, and they'll be thrown if these conditions are met. So in the case of the name animal exception, if this condition is met, so if the name, the length of the name is inferior to 3, then we will instantiate the exception or throw the exception with which has this parameter: an animal object can't have a name smaller than 3 letters. And for the age animal exception, if the age is inferior to 0. Otherwise, we want to instantiate the object type animal with this sentence: you have created a dog. So that being said, now let's go to our main method, main program. So again, we've declared a variable dog at the beginning here, type animal equals null, because if we were to instantiate the object inside the try block, it would only exist inside the try block. That's why we have to create a variable outside and then instantiate the variable inside the try block. So in this case, in the try block, we instantiate the variable dog with the animal constructor. So for this example, we're going to give the dog or the animal's name one letter, so it will meet this condition here. And let's put a positive number here, just for this example. And then as you can see, we have our catch statements, one for each exception. So our first catch statement is to catch the name animal exception, which we've named E1, and the instruction to be executed if it's caught is get message. And same principle for the second catch statement for age animal exception, which we've named E2. So let's run the program like this. So at the moment we only have one letter as a name. So normally the first exception should be caught and not the second, because the age is 10, so it's not a negative value. So let's run the program. Okay. As you can see, the first exception is caught. An animal object can't have a name smaller than 3 letters. Now let's say we were to give him a full name, so let's say Nelson, for example, and we gave him a negative age, so -5. Let's run the program. As you can see, the first exception isn't brought up because the condition isn't met. However, the second condition, the second exception is caught because the second condition is met. So what happens if we were to, for example, give him a name so with less than 3 letters, so let's say just say T, for example, and also a negative age. Let's run the program. As you can see, it's the first exception that is caught, and that's basically because it's the first exception that we listed in our animal, in our constructor, in our animal class. So just to let you know that when you're managing more than one exception in a portion of code, be sure to put the block, catch block, sorry, from the most relevant to the less relevant. So that's how you use, or that's how you manage several exceptions. And I'm just going to show you now how to use the finally block, which, if you recall, is executed whatever happens before, whatever happens in the try catch blocks. So just to show you that example, finally, so system.out.println, this code will always be executed like so. Okay, so let's run the program now. So as you can see, the first exception is caught, so the program should stop there, but since we have a finally block, this instruction will always be executed. As you can see here, this will always be executed. So that's how you manage several exceptions in Java, and also how to use a finally block.